Thank you so much for joining us for this edition of All Angles. I'm Dion Jacksmiller. I have to start off by saying big congratulations to Tina Clayton and Serena Cole. A brilliant 1-2 in the 100 meters women's race at the Under 20 World Championships, and a championship record as well for Tina Clayton. Apologies for starting the program a little bit late, but I'm sure you all understand that we just had to bring that to you live. Now, coming up in today's program, a major new development in the Donna-lee Donaldson case. We'll be taking you through the timeline of how we got here, and we'll be talking to senior attorneys Caroline Hay, Tamika Harris, and Leonard Green about what happens now. And as well, we want you to remember our hashtag. It's TVJ All Angles. Now, a little later on in the program, we'll have a sneak peek for you into our very special program that airs on Monday, August 8th, a prime ministerial conversation. Former Prime Ministers Bruce Golding and PJ Patterson speak frankly about Jamaica, and they give us some behind-the-scenes insight into some of the major governance issues of our time. So make sure you look out for that, and of course watch the program on Monday. First, though, my colleague Kirk Wright has been tracking the Donna-lee Donaldson case from the beginning. He joins me now to take us through how the story has unfolded so far. Let's start with this announcement by Deputy Commissioner of Police FITZ Bailey at a press conference on Tuesday.
On July 29, he was taken before a court and remanded in custody. What I can report at this time is that Constable Maitland was this afternoon charged with the murder of his 23-year-old girlfriend, Donna-lee Donaldson. His formal charge comes after 20 days of diligent and comprehensive investigation by detectives in what began as a missing persons investigation, but given the evidence that was being collected, subsequently became a murder probe.
And we'll have more on the police timeline a little later, but Kirk, you've been following the story from the very beginning. How did it come to your attention in the first place?
Sure. So about 3 days after she disappeared, let's use that word, a friend of mine contacted me and said, Kirk, you know, she was given the post by a friend of hers who was looking for her. In fact, the friend had worked with Donna-lee on a program, so, you know, when it was shared with her, she said she looked through social media, she looked on the police website to see if Donna-lee's picture was posted there. It wasn't, so she said to me, Kirk, you know, it would be good if I, you know, did a story on it to highlight the fact that Donna-lee was missing, because the family didn't feel as if they were getting anywhere with the police. I think they reported it 3 days after Donna-lee, they couldn't find her. They reported about 3 days after, and the uncle, when I went to the yard to speak with him, he said, you know, they felt as if they were getting the runaround from the police. I'm not sure, but when I spoke with the police, they said that very soon after the report was made to them, they activated their protocol, the missing person protocol, and they started their investigation. But the family felt as if, you know, not much was being done at that time.
Right. I think actually the mother had said that it was the Wednesday night. She said she reported it to the police.
6:30.
Right. Donna-lee should have come home the Tuesday and didn't. But you spoke to family members, including the uncle.
Yes. Spoke with the uncle, and he was of the same opinion that, you know, it was reported, but they felt as if the police should have been doing more. They felt as if the police should have gone to the accused's apartment much earlier, and if they had done so, they would have probably reached further with the case. And to say that the family was distraught when I went there was an understatement. Everybody was crying and just wondering, where was Donna-lee? In fact, the mother said to me that the accused called her to ask her if she had seen Donna-lee, and she said, you know, but you took her away.
Well, on that note, because at the point at which she left, her uncle had seen her leave, and you spoke to him. So let's hear what he had to say.
On the day in question, on the 11th of this month, approximately 10:55 p.m., I was sitting in my car out by my gate when I saw Donna-lee Donaldson's boyfriend, which is a police officer stationed at the Constant Spring police station. His name is Noel. I know not his last name. He came and he picked her. They went up the road and they came back as if she forget something. She came out of the car, went for whatever she came back for, and went off with him. I haven't seen or heard from her since.
You also spoke to her mother, Kirk, who has been and continues to be extremely distraught.
Yes, yes, I did. And, you know, she spoke of how Donna-lee was like a mother to the family, how helpful she was, and, you know, she's a sickly woman, and how Donna-lee is the one who would take her to the hospital to get her medication. She could call on Donna-lee to do just about anything. So she was just crying and asking where was Donna-lee.
Let's go to that clip.
My daughter, I don't even know how to describe her. She's my everything. She's my everything. She's like a mother in this house. She takes care of her siblings. She takes care of me. She's been loved by everybody around her. She's a social media person. She has been followed by everybody. I don't know what could have caused this bitter result for my child.
And I'd interviewed her as well, Kirk. And I was also struck with how she described Donna-lee as, you know, watching over her, the mom, you know, and looking out for her diet, making sure she wasn't eating anything she shouldn't have been eating, and so on. But from there, the matters escalated very quickly because we saw the protests start.
And the uncle had said to me that they were going to be very resolute in making sure that everybody remembers Donna-lee, and they were trying to garner as much support as possible. At first, I think they protested at the Constant Spring police station. Then they went to the accused's apartment, and in the following days they had done some of the protests also, including today. I think they went down to the Halfway Tree police station, and this was all to make sure that, to keep the issue in the public's eye, because they still felt as if, even with the police coming out with a press conference and announcing, you know, giving them details as to what they're doing, they still felt as if the police had gone to the apartment. Because they keep talking about the police going to the apartment and doing what they're supposed to do. They would have found more, and probably they would be able to tell where, you know, where Donna-lee is.
Well, here's one of the stories we had carried on one of those protests.
For the third time in 13 days, family and friends of Donna-lee Donaldson protested the circumstances of her disappearance. They started outside the Halfway Tree police station shortly after 11 Sunday morning. Then they moved.
The protesters have left the Halfway Tree police station, are currently on Balmoral Avenue, heading toward the direction of Emancipation Park, all shouting one thing.
The police were criticized. They chanted through rain at Emancipation Park. The family is distraught.
Why?
Walking at the house, this man, not chef, hold on. My sister, walk on her, hold on the way, she weak. You know how long the dinner not cooking in my house? Nobody never not cooking at the yard.
Brother Alex Campbell is vowing more protests.
We will never give up. We will never back down. We will continue to speak. We will continue to march.
The protesters marched to an apartment complex on Chelsea Avenue, said to be the last known location of Miss Donaldson. She was last seen on July 11 with her boyfriend, who is a serving member of the police force. A high-level investigation is ongoing into her disappearance. Her boyfriend is not a suspect.
Okay, so the police did have a press release, well, a press conference essentially, to say they were taking the issue seriously, they were investigating. They had a subsequent one, Kirk, in which they gave a little bit more information, but let me just go to the break and we'll come back and we'll pick up with that.